We've got to be very quiet. We're currently sneaking through an ogre-infested tower while grabbing some items for an archmage in Stormwind. One wrong move and we could alert them all and... Jesus Christ, I'm out of here. Before we start, I have an incredibly important announcement to make. Our chicken's name is Bobbert. I know we established this in the Westfall video, but it was mostly just as a joke, but now it's official. His name is Bobbert, and I love him. But anyways, last time we were up in this area, we had a couple run-ins with these lads called the Syndicate, a fun group of ex-nobles from the kingdom of Altarac. Definitely fun people to be around, I assure you. Magistrate Henry Maleb had sent us up to retrieve signet rings from them, which only choice individuals would actually have. While up here, we're also to slay these shadow mages and their leader in the area, Nagaz. They're all part of this other culty group called the Argus Wake, bent upon bringing about the third host. Whatever that means. Stronger and more experienced now, we absolutely cleave our way through the Syndicate. Back at the end of this large valley, we find a nice little house situated next to the lake. There is where Nagaz has been hiding. After sending this lad straight to the Shadow Realm, we also find that there's a small box set up behind him. Inside we find another one of these encrypted letters. Surely Loremaster Dibs would like to take a look at this. Speaking of Dibs, he'd also wanted us to hop up into this area to retrieve a particular book for him, The Arm of Grelek. Normally, you'd team up with a group of nice individuals and clear the way up to the bookshelf it's kept on. Normally. However, as I've quickly been coming to find, grouping up for elite quests at higher levels like this is an absolute chore. Maybe other people have better experiences with it, but I had an absolutely horrible time trying to find a group for these. So when I saw this group of horde lads running on in, I thought this might as well be our best chance. Luckily, they need to kill this individual that's right next to the bookshelf, so we kinda just get it for free. You'll love to see it. As we return to South Shore, Henry Maleb is glad to see the rings, as he's sure that without as much noble leadership, they'll lose their ability to act decisively. And while we've also gone about destroying their leader in the area, this Argus Wake is likely still going to be a threat to us, and maybe even Azeroth as a whole. Wait. What do you mean, continent of Azeroth? Unless I'm missing something, Azeroth's the world, and this continent is the Eastern Kingdoms. My guy, you're a magistrate, you should know this! But next up, we return these books and whatnot back to Dibs, and he's absolutely ready to begin researching this book on ancient troll lore. Bundling up the rest of the books, he also sends us on our way back to Stormwind to return them all to Milton at the library. Though, as we show him this second encrypted note, he once again points us in the direction of Prospector Stormpike. We hand it over to his dwarf friend once more, though it appears this one's going to take significantly longer to decrypt. As such, he offers to just buy it from us outright and promises us, if its contents prove interesting, I'll send for you. I'm sure we'll definitely hear back from him in the future, 100%, I don't doubt it at all. Soon afterwards, we return the books to Milton and get to the next exciting leg of our Syndicate adventure, waiting around for some shadowy assassins to show up. For 3 hours. So a fun fact, even with all the years that WoW's been around, the community as a whole still really has no idea how this event even works. What happens is this town crier lad will run into town yelling about assassins and whatnot. He gets to the stairs before dying, and groups of shadowy assassins begin to spawn all around South Shore. You can really tell this is happening, as there will also be a ton of guards around too, usually off in pairs. Though, with all of this, nobody knows how the event itself actually gets started. Some are convinced it's tied to turning in specific quests, and others think it might be timed, and nobody really has any clue. I waited and waited for this event to happen, needing to get that 100% completion for this area. After getting home from work, I immediately opened it up and just waited. We did some fishing, killed some murlocs, got our shining silver breastplate, but still, nothing. Eventually, I decided I had time to go down to Booty Bay and upgrade my fishing, as I had maxed it out at 125 at this point. We took the long trip down, got what we needed, and quickly found out that WoW has a very sick sense of humor. After 3 hours of waiting, the moment I leave, the event decided now was the time to start. Luckily though, we'd gotten back in time to get our assassins, so I guess I wasn't too angry about it, but this is just hilarious. The assassins dropped an assassination contract for us, one specifically targeting the current magistrate. We show this to Henry, and he seems to recognize the name of the individual who'd signed it, Baron Vardis. He was a previous noble within Altarac and was known for his cold heart and brutal practices. With a single target in mind, we return to the ruined town of Hillsbrad. Hiding down within the basement of the rundown inn, we find the Baron and square up. Only, we get severely disappointed, as the lad just absolutely crumples. Like, this is the lad that's been leading all of this over here? In taking Vardis' head back to Maleb, he thanks us, saying his head rests a little easier at night knowing that this villain lost his. Damn, dude. Though with the Syndicate now out of the picture in Altarac and Hillsbrad, all that really remained were the ogres up north. You know, those elites that I was, struggling to find help for. While Marshal Redpath had called for the deaths of several warmongers, we did have another objective up there. Previously in Stormwind, we had spoken with Count Remington Ridgewell as he asked us to retrieve a tiara from the ruins. The Paranold Tiara, an heirloom from the Paranold nobles, the ruling family of Altarac before it fell to ruin. It's now in the possession of an ogre mage named Grelborg the Miser, and Remington would like us to acquire it for him. Already having a hard enough time finding a group, we eventually decide to just say screw it, and risk the biscuits. As long as we take it slow, surely we can do all of this on our own. Surely. However, after only a couple of ogres, I see somebody in the distance, another paladin doing the same thing as me. Combining our efforts, we lay waste to the ogres outside, even picking up Grelborg while we're at it. Honestly though, shout out to Theorid here, as they stayed around even after they were done to help me with the rest of the ogres. You're a real one, man. Returning to Marshal Redpath, we're awarded a shield, so we might as well use that sword we just gotten. Even though it wasn't the axe, by God, I was gonna use it. Though most of it was off camera, while I was searching for a group to help with those ogres, I had found this nice little loop with an Altarac with a whole bunch of iron and mithril, so at this point, we'd had a bit to smell through. So of course, we needed some fitting music to listen to while getting through all of this. It's very important. After making everything we could and getting our blacksmithing up to 214, it was off to Stormwind to bring Remington his tiara. Now, with the Syndicate dealt with, and our books recovered from the ogres, we were left with only one place left to go. Not only do they have Syndicate problems of their own, but there's also a good bit of other strange happenings that we've got to deal with back in Arathi. Before messing with much else in the area, we'd found this group of pirates on the southern edge of Arathi in Falder's Cove. They're from the familiar Blackwater Raiders, the pirate group currently residing within Booty Bay. According to Lolo, their lookout, two of the other ships, the Spirit of Silverpine and the Maiden's Folly, had both sunk into the bottom of the sea near here. Captain O'Brien is able to tell us more as he recalls what had happened. The sea itself had rumbled, the tides lowered, and their other two ships crashed into the reef. However, it's not just any reef. There's something down there. First mate Nilslicks was able to get a glimpse of whatever it was, saying it was some sort of temple down within the reef. He needs us to swim back to the two boats and collect their charts and logs before they can leave so they're safe from prying eyes. Sitting by a nearby bonfire, Captain Steelgut is lamenting the loss of his crew and demands vengeance against the Naga that attacked them. Nearby, Professor Fizzlethorpe has a way of collecting lost elven treasures within the ruins, though needs our assistance. He has a pair of goggles that can see these gems hidden within the dark sea floor, though they need to be charged by a nearby enchanted stone within the cave. This seems incredibly specific, but alright, whatever you say, man. You know more about this than I do, shit. He's tried up to this point, but whenever he goes up there, he's ambushed and chased away by these elementals. Taking it upon ourselves to help this little lad, we follow him to this cave, and sure enough, a couple of angered elementals attack us. Once charged, though, his goggles are now ready to be put to use. Dr. Draxelgage, our other gnome friend here, asks us to use these charged goggles to find these elven gems for them. The gems themselves have calcified into thick stone, rendering them incredibly difficult to find, but our goggles can see past such barriers. He'd swim down and get them himself, but, well, he's got other important scientific business to tend to up in the safe, dry land. Yeah, my guy, you can just say you're scared, it's alright. Swimming down into the nearby reef, we begin our search for these logs and gems, taking on every Naga that gets in our way. I'm also really wishing we had a water-breathing potion right about now, as our breath really doesn't last all that long at all, so after every single fight, we've got to swim all the way back up to the surface. There's a lot of swimming up and down here. After finding the charts and logs on both the Spirit of Silverpine and the Maiden's Folly, we found ourselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. We just mined some ore and gotten back on a dry land before... Wait, what do you mean? Why are there so many of you? Come to find out, this is part of a quest line later, and someone must have turned it in just as I was coming out of the water. So cool! While hesitant to return to the reef, since I wasn't really quite sure what had caused those lads to jump me in the first place, we retrieved the rest of our gems and returned to the pirates. The death of the Naga seems to give them some sort of solace at least. While it won't bring back his ship or crew, this is good enough. As we bring our many gems back to the gnomes, they push us on back to Captain O'Brien to deliver them. Impressed, the captain wishes for us to bring a sample of these gems all the way down to Fleetmaster Seahorn in Booty Bay. With the low tide and Naga right outside the cove, they're more or less stuck here at the moment. Back in Booty Bay, Seahorn takes a look at these gems and knew that he sent the right captain for the job. Now that we've come all this way down here, though, Seahorn hands us a letter wishing for us to deliver it all the way back to Shakes O'Brien. Yeah, sure, I mean, it's, not like we just crossed the entire continent or anything. O'Brien is happy to see us back from such a long and perilous journey. Using a Hearthstone is just so perilous, man. However, things aren't looking great at the moment. The Naga are amassing for an attack, and they won't stop until either O'Brien is dead, or they are. We're to defend him at all costs, as we're directed to a cannon up on the deck of the ship. So you know how I was jumped earlier? This is what that was from. We watch as wave after wave of Naga come slithering over the hill, though each one gets completely obliterated by this cannon. This might as well just be a delete button at this point. It doesn't take long for the attacks to stop, and all is quiet on the cove once more. Thankful that not only his life was saved, but that of his crew as well, he's tempted to offer us a spot in his crew. Though, he's sure that since we look like such a promising hero, that we've likely got much bigger fish to fry. Even if we're just a puny human. My guy, you're a human too, what does that even mean? So, I'd stated before with the ogres that finding groups for the elite quests up here was a bit of a pain. Even during the little pirate adventure, I'd tried multiple times to get one going, but they always fell apart before we could get enough to comfortably go inside. So, instead, we looked elsewhere, to another area that we currently had an objective for. In particular, we need to go get some crab legs. I would have loved to have given Swamp of Sorrows its own video, but on account of it having maybe a whole 2 quest lines here, if you'd even call it that, this is what we're getting instead. While we were initially pointed here by Morgan Stern to retrieve some crab legs, we'd also gotten another request from Mason MacNadir in Stormwind. His assistant, Delis, had misplaced a rather important essay and we needed to retrieve it. He was supposed to deliver it to Netherguard Keep within the Blasted Lands, but as he was passing through the Swamp of Sorrows, he'd taken a wrong turn and ran straight into some plant creatures. He'd dropped Khadgar's essays on dimensional convergence, which was then likely picked up by one of said plant creatures. The one that could actually read. Probably. After gunning it through the incredibly sketchy Deadwind Pass, we descend into the swamp below, and as we're running around doing Lord knows what, we happen across a destroyed cart and Watcher Biggs. His caravan had been destined for the eastern coast, but was attacked by Lost Ones. They'd killed his guard and stole his supplies, bringing them back to their fallow sanctuary to the north. Now, lost and alone, Biggs asks us to clear up some of the nearby wildlife as he tries to get his remaining supplies together. What little is left, that is. While culling the local wildlife, we'd also happened upon this small village of Broken to the north called the Harborage. While they look like the Lost Ones that attacked Biggs, the Broken aren't quite as far gone yet. They haven't been driven mad by their lack of sacred crystals called Draenithis crystals. At least, not yet. Magtur, one of these Broken, tells us of the Lost Ones at the Fallow Sanctuary. While their brethren, the Lost Ones have lost their way and are too far gone to be saved. They'd taken the Draenithis crystals from the Harborage, and Magtur wants to get them back, for without them, we too may lose our way. Just around the river bend, we find a healthy amount of these plant creatures that had attacked Mason's apprentice and stolen the essays. Alright guys, let's make this really easy. Which one of you can read? I never thought I'd be asking swamp monsters if they were literate or not, but here we are, I guess. As we're going about clearing these boys out, we spot a certified large lad in the back of the cave. That looks like a literate swamp monster if I've ever seen one. Uh-oh. Never mind, we're completely fine, though. That's really not what you like to see. Unfortunately, this friend-shaped lad didn't have the essays either, and neither did the next, 10. I hate it here. Eventually, though, we're able to find our essays, which is great, because I'd gotten sick while recording this bit, so getting through those swamp lads was a struggle. After some much-needed recuperation, we set out once more to sweep up the rest of these forest animals. If only Nessingwary could see me now. While getting the last of our crocolisks, we'd spotted a lad patrolling about in the distance. A lad named Noboru the Cudgel was stalking around the swamp with a couple of other lost ones. Well, we can't allow that now, can we? Picking up his cudgel from his corpse, we're given another quest to return it back to Magtur and the others. Apparently, Noboru and his gang had been terrorizing the Harborage for a good while now, killing any of the broken Draenei that had crossed his path. They hadn't had the strength to deal with him on their own, so it's fortunate for them that we were here to do it in their stead. As we return to Biggs, he remembers seeing the Lost Ones dragging a wagon back to their sanctuary. On this wagon was a chest that was meant for Netherguard Keep in the Blasted Lands to the south. Since Magtur already wanted us to go there for the crystals, we can knock out 2 at once. In reacquiring these crystals for the Harborage. We also stumble across a crate of lost supplies that were en route to Netherguard as well. Dang, these lads are really out here just taking all of their shit. Clearing our way to the back, we also notice that there's a lad trapped within a cage next to the wagon with our chest. His name's Galen Goodword, and if we help him out of here, we are welcome to whatever treasure he's got in his camp just north of Stoner, the orc base in the area. Since we'd pretty much already cleared everything up to this point, it was smooth sailing to get this lad out of here. Once free, he whispers the secret to opening the strongbox to us, and we're able to pick out a shield from his camp. So that's neat. While turning in the Draenithis crystals to Magtur, we got a message from another bub asking for help with Galen's escort quest. And sure, why not? We're close, and it's pretty fast, so let's just get to it. Only this time around, everything was a bit more, spicy. Since the Lost Ones immediately in his path weren't recently dealt with, the lad went ahead and just pulled, 5 at once, which is really just not what you like to see. But you know, shit happens. We were set to kill the lads ahead of time, and it's easy enough to just finish up from there. As we depart though, I'm reminded of one of the things that I've really come to love about hardcore. It really feels like everyone's looking out for each other to some degree. Instead of just hopping group and leaving, most people ended off with something like, stay safe, or something to that end. I don't know, it's just refreshing to see. Getting this chest back to Biggs, he now needs us to fix up his wagon, but doesn't quite have the resources to do so. He'll need some wood, but not from the swamp. He needs something dry, something strong, which can only be found along the coastline. Right where all of our crawler legs are going to be for Morgenstern. While grabbing all of this, I am suddenly really glad that I chose to wait a bit to do this because these murlocs are sketching me out, man. We grab our legs and bits of wood and back to Biggs we go. He's got one final request for us. He's packed together all of the most important bits of his shipment and asks us to get it there as quickly as we can while he makes repairs. All we need to do is reach Netherguard Keep in the Blasted Lands. Easy enough. Though, as we get there, this place is looking very spooky, especially with all of those lightning strikes in the distance. Inside of Netherguard Keep, we first head straight to Quartermaster Lungert's to give him both Biggs' shipment and the other crate we'd found within the Fallow Sanctuary. He returns the favor by giving us some supplies as well, telling us that many of their supplies end up getting lost between here and Darkshire. At the very top of the Mage Tower, Watcher Mahar Ba is waiting patiently for Khadgar's essays on dimensional convergence. He'd feared that his request had been overlooked by Mason, assuming that he'd been bogged down with other requests given the many strange happenings going on. I feel like we need a bit more context, like what sort of strange happenings are we talking about here? But regardless, he's very excited to finally get a glimpse of the insight of one as great as Khadgar. And that pretty much wraps up Swamp of Sorrows. Like I said, there's really not a whole lot to talk about here. After we finished up, we went back to Theramore briefly to turn in the crab legs for Morgan and gave Jarl his sword. While we were waiting for those assassins back in South Shore, we'd been able to fish up the heavy leather we needed to make it, and also picked up the recipe from Booty Bay. Though, as we go to return to Arathi, we're once again reminded of the problem that had pushed us here in the first place. Finding a group at this level is absolute ass. So aside from finishing up big syndicate leaders within Stromgarde, there's also 2 other elite quests that you'd want to group for. One to take down a big ol' rock giant lad, and another to infiltrate a tower filled with elite ogres. Fun stuff, really. Before starting Swamp of Sorrows, I had called up an old friend that I'd quested with briefly back in Duskwood. You know, the person I was whispering for like the entire second half of the video. They'd also needed some elite quests in the area, though we're really just looking for one in particular that started with this neat little crystal. Technically, it can start from a mob drop from enemies all over the world, but since we had yet to see it, we might as well just start it here. Also, you can apparently still complete that introductory quest in particular, even after finishing the rest of the chain, so that's neat. Misriel, self-proclaimed princess of the earth, has been trapped deep beneath the Arathi highlands by the giants. She wishes to be released and needs us to help her. To the east, the kobolds who have allied themselves with the giants have a crystal just like this one that we need to empower. Sounds good to me. I mean, it's not that often that you get to help a princess. After spending several minutes training swords against one of these outside kobolds, we fight our way inside, gathering these motes of Misriel. Once all of them have been collected, we're given our next objective from her. 4 stones of binding are scattered all throughout Arathi. We need to go and gather keys for them to unlock the strongest of them all, the Stone of Inner Binding. Only there are we able to proceed to our next step, where our friend was also stuck. Opening the Stones of Binding had loosened much of Misriel's confinement, but one lock still held her in place. The keystone in the center of the circle. To unlock this one, we need a key from Falsrook, a stone giant that wanders throughout the zone. Once we have the Rod of Order from him, we can break Misriel free from her chains. We searched all over for this giant, sweeping the zone several times before we'd run out of time, unfortunately. Just as our friend went to leave, the giant finally made himself known. Bruh. We'll just set that aside for a couple minutes, as there's still another quest line that needs our attention here. Back within Stormwind, Archmage Malin asked us to help as agents in Arathi to uncover various lost items that Archmage Trelane, his original master, had left behind. We found both Squareto and Apprentice Crichton at Refuge Point, where we're then sent off to gather various reagents from the local trolls. Some tusks, medicine pouches, and a shadow hunter knife. An interesting assortment of things. We'd started this back in our original Arathi video and nearly had an unfortunate accident in the cave. But for now, we have an ogre to bully. Trelane's first item to be recovered is his wand, and Squareto's found out just where it is. In Boulderfist Hall to the south, an ogre by the name of Korgresh has been using it to keep the rest of his ogres in line. Surely a couple of ogres won't be that big of a deal, and... oh. Well, everything's already dead. Once Korgresh returns, we take Trelane's Wand of Invocation from him and deliver it back to Squareto. While this first item was easy, the last three will be much less so, because now we've got to enter into his tower, which is swarming with ogres. But never fear, Squareto's got a solution. The tower itself has defenses put in place that we can use to our advantage. All we need to do is collect this azure agate from one of the shaman and deliver it to Apprentice Crichton. He knows of the enchantment to put upon the agate to set off the tower's defenses. The only problem now is actually finding a group. Getting the agate itself was simple enough since we can just solo the elites here one at a time, but the tower is a whole nother story. After many failed attempts over the course of several days, the stars decided to finally align for us. We'd found this duo of a rogue and a druid also looking to do the various Stromgarde quests, though in their case, they only needed everything Syndicate related. Together, the three of us cleaved our way through the Syndicate occupying Stromgarde, collecting badges as we went. We continued to push onwards until we found the targets we were after. Lord Falconcrest and his bodyguard, Otto. They were leading the Syndicate in the area, and without them, the group as a whole would take a hit. We planned our attack and pulled them all into the corner with the rogue evading most everything that was thrown at him. While I was there attacking as well, I was mostly just on standby in case anybody needed healing, which... holy shit, this guy needs really bad. Though, actually in hindsight, this was completely fine, but my god was I panicking in the moment. One by one, they all fell, leaving just one named individual left to kill. Mare's Cowl resides behind one of the broken down buildings within Stromgarde here, and they are the Argus Wakes tied to this place. Since they're alone, they're much easier than Falconcrest and the others. Damn dude, who'd have guessed? Soon enough, we'd finished all of our Syndicate quests here, leaving just the ogres. However, there was a bit of a misunderstanding regarding which elite ogres we were doing. They thought I meant the ogres in Altarac. You know, the ones I'd done with Thurid before. So, we were once again alone in doing this endeavor, realizing that finding a group likely wasn't going to be an option in this quest. It was time to go in alone and face overwhelming odds. So something to know about this attack on the tower quest. It's not nearly as simple as one would think. Ultimately, we're here to grab 3 different chests placed at various heights within the tower. However, with each one that we grab, we also spawn in about 4 or 5 elite ogres. Already, that alone just spells death for us. There's no way that we can take all of that on. That is, unless we use the tower's defenses. And using this pedestal out front, we can activate the tower's defenses and call upon water elementals to fight the ogres. During this chaos, we can run in and grab our chests with, hopefully, relatively little danger. I'd seen a video of another hardcore paladin soloing this with ease and thought, I can do that. Following their actions, we activate this pedestal, calling upon our elemental friends. As the ogres are locked in combat, we need to rush our way upstairs and grab the first of 3 chests. Though each one will spawn multiple ogres, if we're fast enough, we can also get all 3 before they have a chance to even catch us. At least, that's if you can get past the first chest. This lord stopped us before we could even begin. And with our plan falling through almost immediately, our only option was to run away and watch the ogres furiously stare us down as we make our escape. As that plan had fallen apart, things weren't looking great for us. Fighting a group for this likely wasn't going to happen, so unless we could find some way to solo this, there was no way to finish this quest. Pondering what to do next, we were thankfully able to find others that were after Falsaruk, this stone giant from before, though I shamefully admit that one of them was level 60. Our other guy got a guildie to come on and help us, and it felt kind of undeserved. But a win's a win, I guess. Maybe we'll just come back later on and... What the hell is that? Hey everybody! So another fun fact for you. When you finish this quest, it'll spawn in yet another elite giant for you to kill. Though technically you don't have to kill them, but I needed to redeem myself. I needed to show that I was capable of taking on something similar to Falsaruk. As a nearby level 60 watched on, I soloed this lad until he too was reduced to nothing more than rubble. With the Rod of Order brought back, Mizrael is now freed from her captivity. For now though, she needs to gather her strength before she's able to return. In the meantime, we're to seek out Garrig Bonegrip in Ironforge, for they know how she can be summoned. What a name of Bonegrip. And indeed, he does know how she can be summoned, though he currently doesn't have the means to do so. Theldurin the Lost, who was once a member of his order, the Twilight's Hammer... Wait. Isn't the Twilight's Hammer bad? Like, don't they mess with, like, old gods and shit? Well, anyways, Theldurin's fled from their order and stole the scroll of Mizrael as he left. Now, he's hidden himself off in the Badlands somewhere, and if we're to bring back Mizrael, we're going to have to find Theldurin. I don't know about you, but this feels like another situation like we had with Abercrombie back in Duskwood. Like, we've just been unknowingly helping some great evil achieve their plan. Only this time was a bit less obvious up until now. Now it just feels like I've done something absolutely horrible. Within the Badlands, though, we're indeed able to find Theldurin, though he doesn't currently have the scroll either. But he assures us that we don't want to use the scroll to bring her back. It'd bring trouble to everybody. At least that is, unless she's already free. Then we need to use the scroll to bring her back. The nearby elementals have destroyed the scroll and likely still have the little torn up bits of it. Should we recover them all, Theldurin can repair it for us. And one whole hour of killing these elementals, and we finally have our 3 scroll fragments. Theldurin repairs the scroll and hands it back to us, once again reiterating that we must defeat her before she grows in strength. To do this, we'll need to return to where this all started. The original shard that we talked to. Though, this quest in particular is red, so maybe let's not. However, bolstered by our recent victory over the rock giant, I was ready to take on the tower yet again, though this time we had a different plan. You see, while the ogres are all over the tower, they're spaced out just enough that you can pull them all one at a time. You just have to be a bit careful. Though that only fixes one of our problems. We still have the fact that these chests spawn in a whole group of ogres with them each time you open one. Well, the thing is, the ogres don't move away from the floor after spawning in. Meaning, if we grab these chests from top to bottom, we will be just fine. After grabbing a chest, all we'd have to do is run out behind the tower, jump up on the ledge, and we are safe. Once there, the ogres will lose aggro, run back, and we can head right back into the next. It's perfect. We start at the very top, once the tower's cleared, and grab that. Once we get our first item and the ogre sees us, we reset and do it all over again. As we run back in for the second chest, all those previous ogres were just chilling up top, probably throwing a little ogre party for themselves. We grab our second, and by some stroke of luck, none of the ogres see us. So instead of resetting, we could freely grab our last chest, and all that remains is to run back, bubble, and escape to safety. It's actually wild to me how simple that actually was. Though granted, being a paladin was probably the only thing that made that remotely possible. Bringing these 3 items back to Squareto, he tells us that Malin couldn't have asked for a worthier person to come over and help them out. He'll be pleased with how much of an overwhelming success this mission's been. Handing us a letter, he sends us on back to Stormwind, where we're to inform Malin that their mission's been completed, and Squareto and Crichton will be home soon. Malin himself is amazed that we were able to get everything back, and honestly, kinda same. And with that finished, Arathi is more or less complete. We'll deal with Misriel somewhere down the line, but before we call an end to this, there's just one last thing I'd like to do. It's time for another dungeon. Now I'm gonna be completely real with you here. I have never done this dungeon in my life. At least not the classic version of it here, only the newer version in retail, so this was, interesting. Archbishop Benedictus in the Stormwind Cathedral tells us of a place hidden within the Barrens where the local Quillbore have made a pact with the Scourge. There, they're creating all sorts of abominations while being led by a lich called Amnanar the Cold Bringer. Strap on your healing gear, it's time to kill a lich! And yes, we are finally healing a dungeon again. I am absolutely terrified. Especially since I have absolutely no idea what to expect in there. Inside this dark, decrepit lair, we're met with all kinds of undead Quillbore. We fight off pack after pack until we're met with Nerubians, these spider-like creatures. Only just after them we find this red dragon, Belnistraz, who's been captured by the Quillbore, and my guy, you're a dragon, can't you just, like, break yourself out of here? I don't know, like, maybe he's just really weak or something at the moment. I don't know. He'd given himself up for dead, or worse, to be eaten by these scourge-infested vermin. For all of our sakes, though, he wishes to make a difference. The Quillbore have this idol that acts as a macabre oven where they'll consume the various abductees they acquire from the Barrens. He'd like to perform a ritual to snuff it out and bind them from ever using it again. As he does so, wave after wave of undead attack us, trying desperately to stop him. Eventually, we're met with Plagma, the Rotting, and as he falls, the ritual succeeds. He leaves behind a brazier for us, in which we can see the image of a red dragon as he thanks us for the help. His faith in mortals had been renewed thanks to our actions. Pushing onwards, we interrupt a concert of skeleton boys and oh god. Once the crowd's been dealt with, we take down Mordresh Fire Eye as well, and he gives us a rather nice necklace for healing, damn. Shortly after, we roll on a chest and we get yet another nice blue healing item. The game just really wants me to do this, apparently. Reaching the Spiral of Thorns, we're up to the final stretch of the dungeon. Once we ascend the spiral, we'll be face to face with this lich. We fight through an abomination, more undead, Quillbore, and spirits. Along the way, even picking up yet another blue item, the Excalibur. Now we can finally stop coping with our Lacrinax from Scarlet Monastery. After several mildly spicy pulls with some patrols getting mixed in, everything's fine, don't worry about it, everything's fine. We're met with our lich friend as we stare him down across the clearing. This is for all the marbles, lads. As the fight starts up, the lad goes about summoning in several frost specters. While the fight is hectic, this lad is also absolutely melting. As yet another wave gets summoned in, we're starting to get a little sketched out. Like, if this continues, we're going to have issues. But it doesn't, as we forcefully end this Lich's Life subscription. And speaking of, make sure to hit that dislike button and unsubscribe. Never want to see this shit again. Anyways, we've successfully cleared the dungeon and... Wait, did I just win both of those items? With these, we straight up came out of here with a grand total of 5 blue items. Like, that's insane. So, when we'd helped Belnistraz before, I'd messed up the quest. That's 2 for 2, man. We've really got to get our shit together. Though, I found out as I went to get cooking recipes from another lad trapped back there that he was back. Could we do this event again? Is that a thing? Talking to him, we started it once again, and he returned to the oven. Only this time, nothing came. For the next 5 minutes, we stood off to the side, watching this lad do his ritual while also being ready to absolutely book it at the slightest sign of conflict. 5 incredibly tense minutes passed, and nothing spawned in. We got our credit, and we were able to leave. Though there's still technically one more quest for Razorfen Downs. Outside, there's this night elf named Miriam Moonsinger who's concerned about the growing number of undead Quillbore outside. She's thinking it's likely the Scourge that have something to do with it, and Yeah, I don't know, it might have been. With our new two-handed sword, the Excalibur, in hand, we very, very slowly go about killing these Quilboar. God, it's been so long since I've used a two-handed sword. Once we return, she offers that if we seek a grander adventure, we should head into that cave over there, and sure thing, I'll keep that in mind. It's not like we just came out of there or anything. As we return to Benedictus, he thanks us, saying that the Scourge will now think twice before attempting to bolster its ranks again. Bold of you to assume they even think at all. Though, with that finished, all we're left with is to return to Stranglethorn and finish our business up there. Before that though, we have a favor to cash in. Angus Stern had promised us a feast, and my god, we were gonna get a feast. I've been looking forward to this for a while now. I can't wait to get all this food and... Wait, that's it? There's no, like, well-rested buff or anything? Man, this feast is disappointing as fuck. Please have it this time, please, I am begging you. Awesome.